Hello and welcome to Thursday night's Case the Catty. My name is Erica. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Victoria, British Columbia. Welcome. Tonight I am featuring a suite of products, a stamp bundle, which consists of a stamp set, some coordinating dies, and some beautiful designer series paper, along with some gemstones as well. The gemstones aren't really gemstones. They're more like beads that you would put in a shaker card. They have no adhesive on them, but I'm going to show you how you can add your own adhesive or choose some other embellishment, of which I'm going to show you something that I've picked out that can be used, that matches. So welcome, welcome. I'm going to show my desktop just so I can get started right away and show you the products that I'm going to be using. Okay, so first of all, I've got my January to April mini catalog. Celebration is ending at, I think, midnight tonight. So your last chance to get any free products with your orders, minimum $60 Canadian order, and then it ends. But this mini catalog and all of the products in this mini catalog continue until the end of April, at which time we will have a brand new annual catalog. We always get so excited for a new catalog coming out. I'm hoping that quite a number of products from this catalog carry over into the annual catalog, which often happens, particularly this set of dies or this whole stamp set because of the dies, which you'll see in a few seconds. So Poetic Expressions, it's this beautiful stamp set that has a hummingbird. Now, so many of you, I'm sure, have hummingbirds come to visit your garden. I get them all year round, winter and summer, and we've got a number of feeders out there for them. And it's just such a delight to watch them come and feed. And as a matter of fact, it's not just hummingbirds who feed off our feeders. Also, our little chickadees, they seem to like that sweet water. So, yeah, they'll be drinking out of there as well. So there's this beautiful hummingbird. And I've got a couple of cards that I made during the week that I can show you, in which I used this suite as well. I might as well just show them to you right now, because sometimes when I say I'm going to show you them to you, I forget. So here we go. So this one I made with the hummingbird, and it features the dies that are in the set. Let me show you these dies. So you get the dies to cut out the hummingbird, a small flower, a couple of flowers, a little branch of flowers, and then you get this extra little die cut and some die cut leaves as well. And you get these cute little flowers here. But it's these dies that I wanted to really point out because they're what we call layering dies. They're all stitched frames. They're just absolutely beautiful. And then you also get these dies, which are fantastic. And what I love about these dies is that they can form part of a lid of a box, which I've made in the past. So that's kind of a fun thing that you can use them for. Oh, and also for greetings. So those are the dies. So this is what I did. I did the one die and a much larger die. And I embossed this with an embossing folder, the background as well as this die here. And then how I made this is that I put this card together. It basically had designer series paper and then just this this polished, no, I keep wanting to call it polished pink, but that's a retired color. Bubblegum. It's bubblegum. So I had this DSP, then some bubblegum, and then bubblegum and DSP on the front of the card. And I don't know, I didn't like it. It didn't work out. I didn't leave any space in between the pieces. And I don't know, I just didn't like it. So I took this die and I cut it out of the front of that card or that panel. And I ended up with this kind of patterned look. So I liked the way that looked. And then I added a greeting here with a bit of the DSP as the backing as well. So that's the one card that I made. This is another one of the sweet flowers in this set. So that's that card. And then I made this card. On Monday, I did a Mojo Monday where I showed how to make an origami fold for the front of the card. And you use a 6x6 piece of paper and you have to cut out the 4 corners. Well, they were lying on my desk and I didn't want to waste them. So this blue is on the back of the pink. So I just flipped them over, created this square, and then I added 2 extra squares on the back of this, you know, to match the papers. And then I made this card, and I'm really, really happy with the way that turned out. Rather than throw these in the garbage, I got to use them. So there you go. But look at the colors in this suite, in this paper. It's just so pretty. All right, so I'm going to show you the papers now. I've already been using them, but let's pull some of the sheets out. So we've got, this is the wild wheat color. So many people have said they don't like the color in the beginning, and then as they use it or see other projects made with it, or seeing how surprisingly this color goes with other colors. And so a lot of people are now liking the wild wheat. And then we've got, this is Lost Lagoon on the back. So there's that sheet of paper. And then we've got this sheet, which I used in that other card. This card here is this paper here. And then the back of it is this. So these papers are really great for using the front and the back of the papers in a design. Then we have, this is a fun paper, and the wild wheat is almost looks like gold. It's really, really kind of a cool color. And then we've got, this is the Lost Lagoon in the back. And then we've got this. We've got this beautiful, this is boho blue. Boho blue. That's right. I was right the first time. Boho blue. Got these mini little hearts on there. And then the back of that is the bubble gum. And then we've got this sheet. I love this sheet. It's really pretty. Again, the wild wheat with the bubble bath. I love that design on there. And then you've got this color on the back. Okay, what other colors are in here? Mossy Meadow. I'm using Mossy Meadow tonight. This is the Mossy Meadow color. And that's it. Those are the papers. So there were 6 papers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How come I'm missing one? What's the 6th paper? Oh, the 6th paper is the paper I used for my design. This paper, I've used most of it up already. So you've got those 2 sides. So that's the 6th sheet. Okay, so those are the papers. So kind of nice neutral colors and neutral designs. So those are your papers. Okay. All right, let's get started. So the card I'm going to be replicating tonight is this one right here. Let me pull my camera down so you can see it closer. It's this one right here. And so the designer series paper covers the full front of the card, which would be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I've done a bit of I've done the stamping and I've done the die cuts just so I don't take up too much time off camera. So I chose to use, this is your wild wheat color. Let me pull in another lamp here. Okay, this is your wild wheat color. And I really like it. It's kind of like a mustardy color, but it can go for gold. Okay, so this is half a sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. And then I've got this piece that goes on the front. Now, if you look at this, it is directional. All of the flowers seem to be going north, pointing their faces north. So watch your papers when you put them on. Now, when I cover the front of card, the best adhesive I can recommend is our Tombow Glue, simply because it it gives you time to manipulate the paper. But when I put a full sheet on, I put the Tombow on and then I just tap it into place, okay, to get it to glue in the right spot. So I'm going to pull out my Tombow here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Tombow on there. And then I'm going to lay it down and then pick up the card and then start to sort of move it into place. Okay, I want to make sure the top looks good because I can always trim the bottom if it doesn't fit quite right. So there you go. There is the front of your card. Yeah, see at the bottom, there's a tiny bit of space. So I'm going to pull out my mini guillotine trimmer. Sadly, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this, but I highly recommend a mini guillotine trimmer, particularly for trimming down more than one layer of cardstock. So I'm just going to chomp that. There we go. You see, and it takes off such a minuscule piece. All right. So that's the front of our card. Then I took one of the greetings, where in the world would I be without you? And I decided gold would look great on here. So I think in the picture, they just stamped it using the wild wheat, but I thought gold would look great. So I embossed this in gold so I can put this on here. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on here just to give it some height. Now, when you're putting these together, you can match up the pattern. It's not a circle, so you have to watch where you are placing, you know, there's little points on there. Okay, look how pretty that is on the Lost Lagoon. So I used 2 of the dies in here. Whoops, wrong piece. In here, I used 2 of these dies in here. Okay, whenever I'm selecting the dies, I always kind of place them on the card base just to see the sizing, to figure out which size would look best. All right, so that's going to go on the card. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp and do some coloring. And tonight I'm going to show you how you can color with using your ink pads and a blender pen. These are our blends. They come in a package of 3 and they're double-ended, and there's just a clear solution inside that allows you to move the ink around as if it was water, but it's not water. Okay, they are excellent to use with, our watercolor pencils, because when you use pencils, you kind of get little streaks in as you color, and this blender pen will actually smooth out all of those lines. So it's great for colored pencils. They don't have to be watercolor pencils. If you have a set of colored pencils, you can just use these blend pens with them. Okay, so I've got this really sweet flower flourish, and I've decided to use basic gray. I like basic gray when I do flowers. It's not as harsh as black. And I've got a piece of our basic white cardstock here. And another thing you can do is, this is quite dark. I'll show you. If I stamp it like that, you see how dark it still is? But if you stamp it again, you get a more of a faded look, okay? And then you can color that, and it almost looks like what they call no line watercoloring. All right, let's close this up. Okay. Now, if I look at the picture in here, I can see that they've left this smaller flower white, and they are using a bit of yellow in the middle. Now, I should have brought the wild wheat ink pad here, but I didn't. And I just so happen to have one of my blending pens here, which I'll use for the center of the flowers. So I'm going to take my lid off. Okay, and then let's just color in the center. It's a little bit darker than I wanted, but it will do. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm doing the lighter one. What am I doing? If I color both, then you'll see, you can decide which one looks better, the darker image or the lighter image. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of that yellow in there. Okay, this one is staying white. And this one, we're going to do some pink. I'm going to use the Moody Mauve. Now, some people will squeeze the lid to get some ink on the inside of, use this as a palette. These newer ink pads don't work as well. You have to really, really press hard. And I kind of get worried that maybe the lid will crack, and then it gets all messy in here. So another way to do this is take a block, clean a block off with alcohol, make sure it's nice and clean, and then just pick up the color on a block. And this will act as your palette. Okay. And then I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm going to start coloring on here. So I'm going to start off with the darker color. I'm just going to do some brush strokes in here on the flowers and just put a bit of dark color where the lines are on the image. Okay, now rather than pick up more color, I'm just going to start to color in the flower. So the blending pen will pull the darker color outwards. Now, one thing to be aware of, this is our basic white cardstock. It's not watercolor paper. So you can't scribble over this a lot. Otherwise, the paper will start to pill. Okay? So you want to be careful that you don't do too much painting. Okay, so without picking up any other color, I managed to get that whole flower colored. Okay. Now we need to have a bit of the green, and we're using Mossy Meadow, and we're going to, now when you're finished coloring with this, you can simply, let me just get a scrap piece of paper and try and keep my grid paper clean. You just rub it on a scrap piece of paper to remove the color, and then it's ready to receive the next color. If you're doing a big coloring project, you've got two ends, and if you have 3 pens, you have 6 brushes to use for all the different colors that you're going to do. Okay, so let's close up this. And let's go to our Mossy Meadow. We're going to do the larger leaves in the Mossy Meadow. So the next thing I'm going to just, and I'm going to get a smaller block. I certainly didn't need a big block. I've got a lot of ink there. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Mossy Meadow on a smaller block. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick up the color, and then I'm going to start coloring. these leaves. And as I color, I'm not being overly precise. I'm just adding the color. The whole image does not have to have the color in it. You see, and the more you color without picking up more ink, you get that shaded effect. Okay, so those are the leaves. And then I'm going to use another, I'm going to bring in another pen, and I'm going to use the Lost Lagoon for the other leaves that are on here, these tiny little leaves. So again, I'll get another block and grab some blue. And I'm going to do all of these little leaves here. The images in the stamp set are very interesting. If you look carefully, there are these extra lines that have been drawn in there, and they almost look like angel wings. See these two here? It's almost as if they've got some thread behind the image. So there you go. There is your colored image. And then I have a die that I can cut this out with. So let's grab the die. That's this one here. I'm going to put a bit of tape on there, and then I'll go and cut that. Here we go. Now I'm going to keep this image, and I will color that and use that on another card rather than waste it. So there you go. There's your image. Now this is really calling for Wink of Stella. So I am going to grab that out, and I am going to add some shine on here. And when you add Wink of Stella on top of particularly the darker colors, you will it'll pull the color out more. There we go. Sadly, the camera doesn't pick up Wink of Stella, which is too bad. But there it is. Actually, there's not very much on there. I think I'm running out of Wink of Stella. Let me give it another squeeze, see if there's anything in here. I better squeeze it over a piece of paper. Okay, a little bit more is coming out. And when you hear that kind of squishing sound, like a whistling sound. See, it's all pouring out now a little bit. When you hear that sort of, yeah, squishing sound, it means that it's running low. There we go. There's more coming out. When it starts to run out, you get a little bit of the glitter in there without the solution, so it doesn't spread around very well. That's better. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Okay, now we can put our card together. Now there's a bit of ribbon in here. Oh, and one of the dies, this die here. See this die here? This die makes this adorable little flower. Isn't that sweet? And you've got these leaves. Now I cut 2 extra leaves, and one of these I thought I would put it on the inside of my card. So we've got these cute little leaves. Okay. Now there's also some ribbon in here. Now the ribbon used is this. It's called Center Stripe Ribbon, and the color is Pecan Pie. So this is the ribbon, and it's kind of like a woven ribbon. It's really quite beautiful. It would make great handles on a bag. So we're basically doing that crisscross thing again. We're just doing this sort of a thing. See, like that. Okay. So let's sort of figure out where we're going to put these on the card. This is going to go right in the center. Okay, then this is going to come down right in this corner like this. And I like to see the ends. Okay, and then the flower is going to go on top. Perfect, like that. So that is the right length. That was a good first try. So let's just cut that. Okay, now the best way I'm going to put this down first, and then I'm going to do the ribbon. Let's move these inky bits away. Now, fun thing to do with these are all inked up now. So what I will do later is I will get a piece of cardstock, white cardstock, and I will spray these blocks with water and then put them on the cardstock. If I have time at the end, I'll do it to show you how that's going to work. Okay, now this flower is going to cover. So I might be able to just use a bit of Scotch tape on here to hold that ribbon down. But the first thing I want to do is take some Tombow glue and glue the centerpiece down. Like so. Okay, now these are definitely going to go on dimensionals. So I'm going to grab my larger dimensionals. Put a couple of those on, get that ready. Okay, so I want to put this down. Like so. I'm going to grab a little bit of Scotch tape and put that like that on there. Okay, and then this is going to go on top. Let me just pull my card up because I'm off camera a little bit. I should lift my camera up. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on here like this. Oh, I don't want to cover up my greeting. I'll put that on there like that. Okay, and then we've got a few little leaves to just tuck under. So I'm going to use my Tombow and just put, oh, that's too much. There's one. There's another one up here. Hi, Carolyn. Nice of you to join. Okay, so there's the card. And then I have this one little flower to tuck in here. And I'm going to tuck it in down in here. So I'm just going to put a bit of Tombow in the middle. And I'm going to push it under like that. Okay, so it's just peeking out. And there's the card. So what I want to show you now is that these are the little, what do they call these? They're called champagne iridescent dots. So these are flat on, one side and rounded on the top. Oh, whoa. And they're different sizes, which, I mean, you would have a hard time gluing these itty bitty tiny ones down. But if you wanted to glue these on your, let me just grab my my take your pick tool here. And I'm just going to pick up a couple of these, see the bigger ones. So there's no adhesive on here, but what I do, see if I can get another size. Put a few on here. I'll do 5. So I'm going to use my glue dots now. So from our paper pumpkin kits, you get these sheets of glue dots, and I love working with these just to use them up. So I'm going to take one off, and I'm just going to put it down on my card. See if I can see where they've put them. They're really hard to see on the card, so I'm going to do my own thing. So I'm going to put one there and one here. And then I'm going to put a couple up here. Okay, so now I'm going to take the backings off. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my putty end, and I'm going to grab the gemstone, and I'm going to stick it right on top of the glue dot. Okay, so I'm taking off the top, and I'm going to grab and place it right on top. And you want to use your finger and then press it down into place. Okay. So we have a couple more up here that I can take off. I do one at a time, otherwise I'll miss one. And if you can't see it, just tilt your card and then you'll see it shine. And then you'll know where I'm using my old pokey tool here. Let's get a smaller one on here. There it is. There we go. So there's your card. There you can see those little gems, and they're really a pretty color, champagne color. So there's your card. So I'm really happy with the gold embossing on there. It looks really, really sweet. I love it. Love that card. There's some great ideas in here. Now, I was going to make this one tonight, but I thought it would take too long because this is not part of the designer series paper. This one is actually been stamped with the small, there's a really sweet small stamp in here, this one here. And they've stamped it several times, and then they've used 2 different colors to color them to make their own designer series paper. So I thought for tonight, unless I colored it ahead of time, it was going to be a bit too much work. But look at the colors in here. It's so pretty. And look at that. That hummingbird is really sweet. I'll pull in this other card again so you can see it. Isn't that pretty? Hi, Lena. Yeah, it's a very romantic kind of a set, I think. And here on the other page shows you using these beads inside a shaker card, and they made a frame out of those dies. So when you get those layering dies, you can make frames for things. And then these are those other dies used for greetings. So much you can do with this set. And I just love the papers. Even if you just bought the dies, I think you could go a long way with that. And you know, when you don't buy the stamp set, and you just use the dies, you can almost think of the character. So like the hummingbird, and if you cut it out of black cardstock, it makes a silhouette. So you can create a silhouette based layout. Okay, now I was going to show you quickly. Let me just grab a piece of, I've got a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch cardstock here, and I have a water bottle filled with water, obviously. Spritz. So what I would do is I would plan to use the rest of the ink that's on these blocks rather than waste it. So one trick is I'm going to just move this off camera. I'm going to spritz it with water, and then I'm going to lay it on my card and pull it up. And if I'm not too happy with that, I'm just going to spritz it again to get some more water and cover it again. I can see the water moving underneath the block. There you go. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same with these blocks. I'll put one here. And then I'll do this one. Okay, so now I've created this geometric design, and I can choose to leave it on the card like this. I could put a greeting at the bottom. I could put something in the center on here. The other thing you could do is, especially with the dark colors, you could try taking your Wink of Stella pen and you could move the color around. See, it's starting to come. You got to get it really wet. I hope the camera's picking up. The color is moving on here. Get that color to move. You could just pick up more of the color from the block just to fill in some of that white. Okay, so there's just a few little ideas. I just didn't want to waste the ink. So what I'll do with that, I don't know, but I will make a card out of it. I could emboss it, give it some additional texture. I could stamp some little leaf images in there. I could cut another square of just white with an image on there and use that almost as a frame. So yeah, I'll do something with that and see what I come up with. See, even little sprigs like this you could do. Okay, so thanks so much for joining. And I will see you hopefully on Monday for Mojo Monday. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. Let me just remove this and come back to say goodbye to everybody. Any questions? You love the idea about this piece here? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what I do with that. So again, you can't do too much water on this because it's not watercolor paper. And we have watercolor paper, so it takes a lot of water. So if you wanted to do this same thing on watercolor, it would work out a lot better because then you can add more water to it. Anyway, let's see what I come up with that, and I'll post a picture. So thanks once again, and I will see you hopefully on Monday morning. Bye, everyone.